Every year, the worst franchise in the NFL line up with their hopes and dreams pinned on top prospects.
Why don't you want to play for the Chargers?
We're not really giving details right now.
How about we dive into 10 NFL draft prospects who stopped teams dead in their tracks and rewrote the draft process rules for generations to come? Eli Manning. Let's kick it off with one of the most infamous draft dramas in NFL history that involves one of the league's most well-known families, the Mannings. Eli, the golden boy quarterback from Ole Miss and little brother to Peyton, made it crystal clear before the 2004 draft that he was not going to be playing for the San Diego Chargers, who ended up holding the first overall pick in that year's draft. Based on how the Spanos family ran the organization at the time, it is no wonder that the Mannings wanted no part of them.
There was a decision made by, I believe, Archie Manning that he didn't want Eli to come to San Diego.
The Chargers called that bluff and selected him anyways, setting off a draft day saga for the ages. Of course, not too long after, a blockbuster trade sent Eli to the New York Giants in exchange for Phillip Rivers and a haul of picks. Rivers went on to be one of the best quarterbacks in franchise history and is a fringe Hall of Famer in many people's eyes. Eli, on the other hand, was not the most consistent during the regular season year to year, but did lift the Giants to 2 Super Bowl titles. Bo Jackson. As if it wasn't enough that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were a mess in the mid-'80s on the field, they had to go to the extra mile to really make sure that the top prospect of the decade, Bo Jackson, wanted nothing to do with them. Because in addition to their horrendous football program, roster, facilities, and staff included, the Bucs front office also mishandled a pre-draft visit, some believe intentionally, causing Jackson, a 2-sport athlete at Auburn, to lose his final season of college baseball eligibility.
Got on the jet, went to Tampa Bay for my visit, and the NCAA has declared you ineligible. You can't play baseball no more.
Furious at their incompetence, Bo immediately let it be known that he was not signing with Tampa Bay, no matter what. This did not stop the Buccaneers from taking the Heisman Trophy winning running back first overall, expecting him to just acquiesce with time.
Tampa Bay, the Buccaneers select first choice on the first round. Running back from Auburn, Bo Jackson.
Well, true to his word, Jackson was so serious about dodging Tampa that he declined their 5-year, $5 million contract offer after the '86 draft and skipped the NFL entirely to take his talents to Major League Baseball. Meaning, the Bucs wasted the first overall pick on a guy who never played a snap for them.
I told Hugh Culverhouse, I said, you draft me if you want. You gonna waste a draft pick. I said, I promise you that.
A year later, Bo made his way to the NFL with the Los Angeles Raiders, proving that he was a generational talent who could dominate in 2 sports. Brian Bosworth. Brian Bosworth, aka The Boz, was always more than just a football player. He was a personality, an entertainer, and in many ways, a trailblazer for player empowerment in ensuring that they maximized their value on the open market. So it shouldn't come as a huge surprise when the outspoken linebacker from Oklahoma declared for the 1987 NFL supplemental draft rather than following normal path, because it just wasn't about getting to the league, it was about dictating where he would play. Bosworth made it known that he didn't want any part of a struggling franchise like the Indianapolis Colts or Tampa Bay Buccaneers, openly stating that he wanted to play for a competitive team. Well, his wish was granted when the Seattle Seahawks selected him, and he signed a record-breaking rookie deal worth $11 million. Obviously, his NFL career did not exactly live up to the hype, in large part because of injuries and also some off-the-field antics that became a bit too much of a distraction. But Bosworth's draft strategy set a precedent for players looking to control their destiny. Because, again, it wasn't just about football, it was about brand and legacy. Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly's draft journey wasn't just about dodging a team. It was about dodging a whole dang city. To put it simply, the former Miami star wanted no part of Western New York. So much so that when the Buffalo Bills selected Kelly 14th overall in the 1983 NFL Draft, the quarterback out of Miami spoke openly about his disdain for Buffalo's freezing temperatures, as well as the franchise's lackluster reputation. I couldn't believe it. Kelly reminisced on his draft day experience. Within minutes, the phone call came, and with me being politically correct, I was saying how excited I was to be a Buffalo Bill. And when I hung up, I said, we need to call the USFL and see what other options we have. Jim Kelly ultimately opted to take his talents to the Houston Gamblers in the USFL, where he became a bona fide star. Unfortunately, the league that he played in comparison, not so much. And it went out of business in relatively short order. So ahead of the 1986 season, the Bills finally managed to bring him into the fold. What started as reluctance actually turned into one of the NFL's greatest success stories. injuries. Kelly became the centerpiece of Buffalo's dominant teams in the early 90s, leading them to 4 straight Super Bowl appearances, just narrowly missing the ultimate glory of being the man to deliver a championship to that starved organization. It's ironic that a player who initially wanted nothing to do with Buffalo ended up becoming synonymous with the city's football culture. Kelly's tale is proof that every once in a while, a reluctant marriage can yield greatness. Deion Sanders. Deion Primetime Sanders never lacked confidence, and that swagger extended into the 1989 NFL Draft. The electrifying cornerback from Florida State made it abundantly clear that he was not going to waste his career on a struggling franchise. Sanders warned teams outside the top 5 that he'd demand an outrageous contract to play for him.
I was kind of scared. I thought Detroit was going to take me. I would ask for so much money that I had to put me on layaway.
The Atlanta Falcons, drafting 5th overall, weren't fazed by Sanders' bravado and made him their pick. And Sanders, well, he delivered on every ounce of his hype, becoming one of the most electrifying players in NFL history. Deion's draft maneuvering wasn't just a power move. It was a masterclass in knowing your value and ensuring that you land in the right situation. His career not only justified the theatrics, but also kind of cemented his place as a Hall of Famer who always played the game on his terms. Shaduer Sanders. Hey, like father, like son. The Colorado quarterback and son of Deion Sanders has reportedly made it known through his father that he has no interest in playing for teams located in cold weather cities or those with questionable management. Like, I don't want my kid going nowhere cold next year, Sanders said. He grew up in Texas. He played in Jackson, played in Colorado. Season's over before it gets cold in Colorado. I'm just thinking way ahead. I don't want that for him. So, based on his stance and who we see lingering near the bottom of the standings this year, we may see him try to bypass franchises like the Chicago Bears or New England Patriots in the 2025 draft. It's clear that Primetime taught his son Shedeur the art of leverage. As the Colorado quarterback prepares for the 2025 NFL draft, Coach Prime has already gone on record saying certain teams are no-go. So if this plays out as expected, it'll be another example of how the Sanders family plays by their own rules. Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter, another Deion Sanders protege at Colorado, seems to be taking notes from his mentor. Sanders has already hinted that he wants Hunter to land in a city that fits him culturally and professionally, similar to how Deion ended up in Atlanta. I know where I want them to go, Deion Sanders told the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast. So it's certain cities that ain't gonna happen. There were cities that fit for me, Deion Sanders said about being drafted by the Falcons in 1989. Atlanta fit, and I want that for my kids. All of them. I want the right fit. Atlanta was the first time I saw black people in positions of authority. It blew my mind. It was real in Atlanta. I had never seen anything like that in my life. Sanders has said that he believes that Hunter, like his son, will be among the top 4 picks in the draft, and it's clear that he is trying to have a hand in finding the right landing spot for him. So, with Deion pulling the strings, I think it's clear that the extended family isn't leaving anything to chance when it comes to finding the perfect landing spot. Quentin Coryat. The 1992 NFL draft remains one of the most peculiar and drama-filled drafts in league history, and Quentin Coryat was right at the center of all this chaos. The Indianapolis Colts held both the 1st and 2nd overall picks that year, and their scouts had their eyes on Washington defensive tackle Steve Entman and Texas A&M linebacker Quentin Coryat. But what happened next was a lesson in how unpredictable and chaotic draft negotiations can become. Coryat's agent, Steve Zuckers, understood the leverage that he held in this unique scenario and demanded that Coryat be given the distinction of being the 1st overall pick, meaning it wasn't a simple case of just trying to stop a team from drafting a guy, but rather just trying to manipulate the order. Truly a one-of-a-kind scenario. John Elway. Before Eli Manning pulled his draft day power move, there was John Elway. The Stanford quarterback was the crown jewel of the 1983 NFL draft, but he wanted nothing to do with the Baltimore Colts, citing their dysfunction and poor management. Elway had a lot of leverage here. He was a star baseball prospect and had threatened to join the New York Yankees if the Colts selected him.
We had been in discussion before the draft that I was not going to play in Baltimore, that if that came to it, I was going to play baseball for the Yankees.
Well, Baltimore called his bluff, taking him 1st overall. But oh no, Elway was not bluffing. The standoff ended with the Colts trading him to the Denver Broncos, where Elway went on to win 2 Super Bowls and cement his legacy as one of one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history, Caleb Williams. While hindsight is 2020 and the Bears were successful in landing Caleb Williams as the top pick in the 2024 draft, there was still a lot of noise heading into the draft process that Williams, who played his best college ball at USC, might try to steer clear of Chicago's Windy City, and of course their turbulent football operations, which have been a bit of a meat grinder for quarterbacks over the years. Chicago went straight to work to get that narrative under wraps and make all the necessary moves that they needed in order to create a landing spot that was appealing enough to Williams. The Bears traded their starting quarterback Justin Fields to Pittsburgh last offseason and loaded up its offense in free agency, trading for receiver Keenan Allen and signing DeAndre Swift, which seemingly signaled that they would take Williams number 1 and they wanted to create a safe environment for him to develop. By the time draft day arrived, Chicago had transformed itself into a destination that even Williams couldn't resist. Chicago ultimately landed him with the first overall pick, and the whispers that Williams wasn't sold on joining a franchise with a history of ruining quarterbacks slowly faded into the background. But hey, which of these top NFL draft prospects that tried to manipulate their draft order were the most aggressive? Who made the right call? Who do you think got it wrong? Was there any notable names that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps us out a ton, and we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.